Uh, this is fifth grade expectations for Sioux Cleveland Science Fair. Welcome. My name is Carrie Hughes, and I teach fifth grade at Sioux Cleveland. First, we want to let you know that all of the students received a science fair packet on January 7th, 2016, and it is located in their math binder in a section at the back called Science Extras. So if you'll ask your student for their science fair packet, my homeroom and Ms. Carlisle's homeroom will both have two separate packets, and I believe the same for Miss Standridge's science classes. Miss Standridge teaches her homeroom science, and also Miss Grinstead's homeroom. The first packet will be more informational, and the second packet will be their rough draft, so that students can keep up with each element of the scientific method as we go through it, and they're working on that rough draft for their own project. Okay, we want to make sure that students understand that they do need to follow the scientific process. That is creating a question, creating a hypothesis that predicts what they believe is going to happen after they experiment, a materials list. They need to identify their variables, their independent, dependent, and controlled variables. They need to write a set of procedures, and the procedures need to be in complete sentence form. Each sentence needs to be a command sentence. In other words, starting with a command word. And the first procedure should not be something like get your materials. We're going to explain all that to the students, and they will take notes on each of those elements, so they will have that in their binder over the course of the next several weeks. They also need to have a conclusion on there after they have experimented, and in the center of their board, catchy title, and also their data and results. The board example is on another slide I'll show you in just a minute, but one of the things we do want to mention is there should be no demonstrations and no models. The volcano experiment, I've already had several students ask if that's a possibility. That I know that's something that they've seen on commercials and things, but that is not following the scientific process. That's just a model of something, and we can't accept that for the district science fair, nor Sioux Cleveland's science fair. Here's an example of what their final trifold board should look like. The title of project should be in the center part at the top. Their data and results, they're located in the middle, that will draw the attention of the eye. Pictures and charts and graphs. The variables should be located at the bottom in the center. And off to the left-hand side, we should be able to read this in order with the question at the top, hypothesis in the middle on the left, and the materials list at the bottom. The materials list can be a bulleted list of items, and the students are going to have notes about how to take down their materials list in a very detailed way, instead of saying just water, how much water are they going to need, that kind of thing. The procedures will be on the right-hand side. Again, a numbered list of complete sentences that each begin with a command word, and then a conclusion, which is a pretty thorough paragraph, or maybe even several paragraphs, that explains what was learned in the project, whether the hypothesis was supported or not supported by the data, and what they would do in the future if they could repeat the project, or what else they are wondering about their project or their topic. Acknowledgments should be very, very small at the bottom right-hand side, just to acknowledge any materials or people who might have helped them with the project. We have discussed in class about this being, a help. Parents are certainly welcome to help with the project, timing, if they needed a timer, or helping them measure or whatever, but actually doing the project for the student is not going to be an option. It'll be very clear on presentation day if the child was the key doer of the project. It will be clear on that day. So we're encouraging the students not to just dump this on families and say, here you go, I've got an experiment to do. And we definitely want them to be the one that completes the project and just seeks out help from those around them. There are 3 parts to the 5th grade rubric. This rubric was not designed by Sioux Cleveland teachers. This is a district-wide rubric. All 5th graders who are participating in the Science Fair project will follow these 3 parts. And the first part is following the scientific method. As you can see there at the top, it's a maximum of 18 points. And those parts there are the parts of the scientific process. We are calling the first part the question, not the problem. In younger grades, it may have been called the problem, but we are turning that problem, so to speak, into a question. We've already discussed in class about how to write good questions, and students are beginning to think about their own question. The hypothesis, that is what we're calling it in 5th grade. It needs to be measurable. The variables we will be discussing in the lab and in class about what an independent variable is, a dependent variable, control variables. The materials list, procedure, please follow, have the students follow those specific things. That the procedures need to be specific, concise, easy to replicate for somebody to come along and repeat the project. And we, want to let them know it is a step-by-step thing and not to leave out any steps. The data collection listed there, they've got examples like charts and graphs and journals. Pictures are okay. We're going to talk to the students about if they do take pictures during their project or their experiment, not to show their face, just for judging purposes. We don't. We want the judging to be fair. And so we ask that no student pictures show the student's face. Repetitions. The trials need to be at least 3 or more. We are completing a class project and showing them how to do that, how the repetitions will give them an average. The results that would be shown in, could be shown in a paragraph form or even a graph form, and then reported in the conclusion. Clearly supported by the data, tells what you learned and its application, and if the hypothesis was correct or incorrect. And when we write our conclusion, we're going to say supported or not supported by the data. Okay, the next part of the rubric is the project display, and that's worth a total of 6 points. You can see there that the students will get maximum of 2 points for creativity and originality on their board, 2 points for correct grammar. That includes spelling, they're watching their capitalization and their punctuation. The overall display, they'll get 2 points for neatness, the appearance being organized and clean looking. The last or third part of the 5th grade rubric is called the oral presentation part. The oral presentations will begin on the due date of the projects, which would be March the 7th, 2016. Students have a maximum of 16 points that can be earned in the oral presentation part. The first and majority of the points are located under the knowledge of subject. This is what I meant by students when they present. It will be very clear to the class and to myself and to Miss standards that the student was involved or was not involved in the development of their project and the experimentation. If they can speak to it very easily without too much help from looking at their board, then we know that they were really a part of the project. Oral communication. We've done a PowerPoint presentation for the class. That was partly to also get them orally communicating to their peers, which can be a very daunting task and somewhat scary for some of the students. So they've had that practice already. And, I always encourage the students to practice at home. When their final board is finished, set it up and practice at home in front of family, in front of, stuffed animals, whatever, just so they get that practice in, presenting clearly, loud enough for the back of the room to hear. And then 3 points for enthusiasm. And we're not talking about, jumping up and down, kind of enthusiasm. We're just talking about showing interest in the project, showing that they were involved in the project enough to be able to speak to it with clarity and understanding and can answer questions about it. And that's a total of 40 points. So how are we going to calculate their final grade from that? We would take their total points earned on the rubric, divide by 40, and then multiply that decimal number by 100, and that would give them their final grade. The students will be receiving 3 major grades on this project, 1 for science, 1 for reading, which is the research, the background research they may have to do on this on their project, and also the oral presentation piece. And then also a writing grade, because students are required to write each of the pieces, and then, of course, type them up and organize them on their board. If you need ideas, or students are in need of ideas, the websites listed here are some good places. I have talked to the students about the fact that taking another person's project from one of these websites is not a good idea, because it won't sound like their own. And Ms. Dandridge and I know these websites very well and can tell when a project has been taken from a website and not just an idea. So these are good places to go to get ideas, but they're not places to copy exact word for word what someone else has done. I've told the students to take the idea and tweak it and make it their own, even if that means changing the independent variable into something that interests them. Please help students steer clear of projects that have been completed in younger grades, and some of the ones that Ms. Standridge and I have discussed are listed here. Popping popcorn from different brands and counting the unpopped kernels versus popped kernels. Paper towels, the strength of paper towels that has been done in younger grades. Candles burning, or the length of time that certain candles burn, the length of time it takes different size ice cubes to melt, rotting bananas, how long it takes in different locations or different temperatures, and also bread molding. Again, those are things that have been done in younger grades and really aren't 5th grade projects. A few more things to remember. The science fair standard size board is sold at Sue Cleveland for $3 a piece. Other places do sell the standard size board that would be needed for the district science fair. Those are sold at other places, a little more expensive. I do not recommend taking a white board and painting it. It can smudge, and it can look not clean if it's not done correctly. If you choose to buy a colored board somewhere else, it is going to run you a little more expensive than than the $3. And if you go with a smaller size board at a place like Dollar Tree, those particular sizes are fine. It's just that I can't send a smaller size like that to the district science fair, and it's hard to fit everything that's needed and what's required on one of those smaller boards. So please consider a standard size board. And there are examples at Sue Cleveland. There will be examples on January 22nd on our Science Day, so that you can see what size is needed, and they will be for sale that day if you'd like to come and purchase one for your child. Also, 5th grade students will need to type the elements of their projects. We will be staying after school certain days in the month of February. We'll send home a sheet with the students similar to what we sent home with the PowerPoint projects, letting you know what days we will be staying after school in the computer lab to help students that need to stay and use a computer. We will be able to print from school as well. Projects are due March 7th, 2016. There are elements that are due earlier than that, bits and pieces that Ms. Standridge and I have decided that need to be turned in so that we can make sure students are staying on track with their project, not getting behind and not waiting till the last minute. Those due dates are in the student packet that we gave them, so please ask your child to see their student packet. Any other questions that you have, please email myself or Ms. Standridge. My email is klhughes@greenville.k12.sc.us, and Ms. Standridge is astandry@greenville.k12.sc.us. And finally, just go for it. Have fun. Let students know that this is a time to really have fun with science. And we've talked to the students about really picking a project that interests them. Nothing screams, I can't stand this, more than picking a project that involves things that students aren't invested in and really don't care about. So help them pick something that interests them and that is on a 5th grade level. And if you have any other questions, again, contact myself or Ms. Standridge. Thank you.